Jared here with CarBuzz.com, and today I am bringing you a review of the 2019 Chevy Camaro. Now for 2019, Chevy has refreshed the Camaro with this interesting looking front grille. I hate it. I think it's awful. I hate this black bar across the front. I think it makes it look like the Silverado. I actually tested a Silverado in this exact color. I don't much care for this redesigned Chevy. Do away with it. But a little birdie tells me that for 2019, that green, that neon highlighter green concept car that they brought to SEMA is going to be put into production. So basically what they're gonna do here is get rid of this black bar and take the bow tie logo and put it up here rather than on the crossbar. Definitely makes the whole thing look a heck of a lot better, but as it sits right now, I do not like this 29 refresh at all. I do not like green eggs and ham. I do not like the Chevy Camaro refresh. But if they fix it, I will be happy, and there is good news somewhat. If you are willing to get a 4-cylinder or a V6 Camaro, you won't have to deal with that front end, which is good news, I guess, but not for people who really wanted the V8 car. And it's interesting that the V8 is now the ugliest of the bunch. That's kind of stupid. Now let's go ahead and check out the rear end styling, where Chevy has also changed it compared to the 18. That I'm a little more indifferent to. Okay, so back here, the styling of the Camaro is a little bit better than the front end styling. They've changed the taillights from red units to these clear smoked taillights. I think the goal here was to try and make it look a little bit more like the Corvette, and I think there they've succeeded. Some people have told me they don't like the look of these clear taillights. I think the whole goal was to try and make it look more European, although I'm not sure anybody from Chevy has actually ever been to Europe because their cars don't have smoked taillights like this. Kind of weird, huh? But the real reason you buy a Camaro is the way it drives, and this thing actually drives extremely well. I actually think best in the segment, even though they sent me this sort of rental specky automatic convertible one. So let's go ahead and get it out of the road and see how it drives. Okay, so let's see if the Camaro can win back some of the points that it lost in styling here on the road. So we're starting off pretty well. We've got the SS trim, so that means a 6.2 liter LT1 V8, the same motor you'll get in a Corvette, producing 455 horsepower and the same amount of torque. This one is going out through a 10-speed automatic transmission, but you can also get a 6-speed manual. And if you're asking me, the 6-speed manual is going to be the one you want. There's nothing wrong with this 10-speed. It actually shifts really quickly, and when you are on it trying to go hard with the driving, it will reduce its willingness to upshift gears. So basically it goes into a special mode where it will hold gears as long as possible. It works pretty darn well. We've got the convertible top, which is pretty quiet when it's engaged. I'm going to go ahead and lower it now. It lowers automatically just with this little control here. I've noticed like a little bit of squeaks coming from it when the convertible top is in place, but really not too bad. Chevy has come a long way in the refinement of the convertible top. And your 0 to 60 time is around 4.1 seconds. It might be a little longer if you get the convertible, but the automatic is going to be quicker than the 6-speed manual, although I know that's not going to deter people who just absolutely love to drive a manual. Curb weight is just under 4,000 pounds, and with this V8, you actually are gonna get decent fuel economy depending on how you drive. If you care, you're buying a Camaro. But fuel economy is rated at 16 mpg in the city, 27 on the highway, and around 20 combined. I've been driving this for the past couple of days. I've averaged a little over 16. When I first got it, I was only averaging around 13 miles per gallon. That's because this V8, it actually has GM's direct fuel management technology, so it is capable of shutting down to 4 cylinders when you're just kind of cruising like this. But that's not what we're here to do today. So let's play around with some of the car's drive modes, why don't we? So I just put it into its track mode. It has base setting is going to be called Tour, then there's a sport mode, and then there's this track mode. Really allows you to get the most out of the transmission. The steering is what's going to tighten up the most here. The steering goes from being pretty light, you know, a little bit heavy still, to, oh my God, pinpoint accurate. It's really heavy. I do like it when you're trying to hustle it around a back road. However, if you're trying to drive this car just around a parking lot, or you're just trying to park it, the steering is so heavy. It feels like somebody just added the weight clips. You know, at the gym you have those weight machines. Somebody just took the clip, put it like all the way to the bottom of the rack. That's kind of what the steering feels like in track mode. It's pretty ridiculous if you go ahead and try it out. I don't love driving it in track mode unless I know I'm really going to be able to exercise it on a fun back road, but I guess it's kind of cool that it gets this heavy, and without going all the way into track mode, if you just use Sport or Tour, the steering actually feels phenomenal. It's amazing to think that this is just a Camaro that has this good of steering. This is up there with a lot of the European cars I drive, and I'm not just saying that. The Mustang doesn't have steering that feels this good. Neither does the Dodge Challenger. So if you just want the most European feel, you're gonna get it in this Camaro. This feels more like a sports car than a muscle car. But of course we have the V8, which means you are gonna get the noise of a muscle car. So let's go ahead and put the 10-speed automatic in manual mode, give it some beans. Got plenty of wheel spin there, but now we're away. Oh yeah, it sounds really good when you're at full throttle. As you heard, it does nice crackles, but it kind of sounds like the exhaust is being muffled there. It kind of sounds like like it has something in its throat that it just kind of can't clear. When I drove the Mustang about a year ago, they sent me one that had Ford's active exhaust. This car that we have here does not have the active exhaust. I think you can get that separately, or it comes as part of the 1LE performance package. I really wish GM had sent me that, but it has this normal exhaust. It doesn't sound great when you're just kind of giving it some gas. It sounds really loud when you're at full throttle, but that's about it. It's a little disappointing. I like a car to be loud when I want it to, and you can't always go full throttle on public roads. So the fact that it really only sounds good at full throttle is a bit annoying to me. As you might have seen, I mean, I'm in manual mode, but even if you do have the 10-speed automatic in its auto mode, the downshifts happen really quickly. It kicks down with ease. I'm in automatic mode right now. Let's go ahead and give it some throttle and see what happens. You saw there we go. It kicks down like that. Honestly, I really don't have too many gripes with this 10-speed. It's really, really, really good. GM compliments on it. It's better than your 8-speed ever was. However, it's a Camaro. I'd like to have been sent one with a 6-speed manual. Maybe we can arrange another Camaro with the manual. Maybe that 1LE package that I mentioned too. I'd really like to test that, because the way that this one is optioned, I know I made the joke about this being a rental car, but I am just kind of disappointed because I feel the potential that this Camaro has. It rides on the Alpha platform. Now, this is a chassis that also underpins cars like the Cadillac ATS, ATS-V, CTS-V, and those feel smaller than this car. I know that there's a sports car trapped somewhere in here, but GM went and just put this big, giant, cumbersome body. I mean, the front visibility, you just have this big bulging hood that you can't see over. I've had to lift the seat up. Out back, you have like no visibility. Even with the roof down, you kind of don't have great visibility. GM did include on this 2SS trim, you have this little digital camera, which doesn't work that well with the roof down because all I see is glare right now. But it does help when the roof is up, because my God, the blind spots on this car are simply insane. But when you're driving it normally and not being an idiot, it's pretty comfortable. I guess over really rough pavement, you do feel that the suspension is a little stiff, but this is a sports car after all, so I'm not really gonna complain too much. It rides pretty good when you're just kind of carousing around town. So this is the trim. This Camaro 2SS with all the bells and whistles in here is the car you're gonna want to order if for example, you don't go to a back road and drive like a lunatic. If you're maybe on the older side of things and you just want to relive your youth by buying the latest and greatest Camaro. If you are an enthusiast who maybe wants to track your car, I highly recommend going for the coupe. You're going to save a bunch of money in the process. Save that money and the $1,500 you saved not getting the automatic transmission, and go for that 1LE package that I told you about. But we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we go into pricing. For now, let's go ahead and pull over so that I can talk about the Camaro's interior. It's pretty darn good to drive. It earned a lot of its points back, but unfortunately it's going to lose a lot of those points when we go ahead and check out this interior. So let's slow down. We're going still a little too fast, but if I do slow down enough, it's going to put the roof up so that we can go ahead and talk through GM's kind of meh interior. Wow, how has Chevy managed to make this car so cheap while also feeling so nice? Is a sentence that you will never hear somebody say in a review of a Chevy Camaro. And that's because this interior just doesn't feel very nice. I know that the Mustang doesn't have the most premium interior either, but it does feel a little bit better quality than some of the plastics that GM used. And I want to bring up this point because it keeps being brought up to me in almost every review I do of something European and expensive. Take, for example, the Lexus LC500 that I just did, although that car is Japanese. That car costs around $100,000 and produces 470-ish horsepower. This car is only about 50 grand and produces about 455 horsepower. So people on the internet want to say, well, why would I get the Lexus when I could just get the Camaro and it produces almost as much power? Well, the interior. I just want people to realize that. You buy a car like that because of the refinement of the interior. You just don't get plastics that feel like this in European cars. You just don't. It really doesn't feel very nice, and the interior itself is just kind of a hodgepodge of weird materials, terrible visibility. You can't really see out of this bulging hood. Like, it's so high, so raised. You've got this big A-pillar here. You do get helped a little bit. You have this digital mirror here that it erases all of the blind spots that you get from that big convertible top back there. But yeah, this interior just does not feel like a quality item, even on this 2SS trim, which is about as nice as you can get a Camaro to be. So that's going to give us these nice gauges. I actually like those. They're red and white, and I kind of think they look good. So does the little control in the middle, this little display. I can have different performance stats, my oil temperature, oil pressure, or I can just have it display basic info. It says navigation, which I assume is the OnStar navigation, because this car, even at 50 grand, doesn't have built-in navigation, which is a little bit weird. You can control that with this really nice steering wheel. One of the touch points in this car that does feel really nice, so I'm glad that at least Chevy spent money making this steering wheel feel like nice leather, although some of the buttons and the paddle shifters do feel a bit cheap. We do have memory seats. We have heated and ventilated seats here. You've got dual automatic climate control, which is pretty cool the way it operates. It's a little low in here, so it can be a little bit distracting to fiddle with some of these settings, but I like how these big dials around here are what you use to adjust the temperature. That's really cool how GM integrated that. But that being said, having the actual vents this low is kind of a bit weird. I thought it would distract me like a little bit more than it actually did, but it turns out if you do point it up at yourself, you do feel the air just as well as if they were coming up here. Another oddity here is the Mylink infotainment system. It's 8 inches here. It's tilted down. I think they also did this in the new Blazer. I don't know why. I guess maybe to get rid of glare, which it sort of kind of does, but it's a little bit distracting to have it tilted this way. I guess you kind of get used to it, and I'm getting more and more used to the Chevy Mylink infotainment system. I think it's pretty good. I like Ford's sync system a little bit better, but this one's pretty darn good, and you do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You have some fun features, like you can change the ambient lighting. You can even link it to the the drive modes, which I showed you on the road. You control those down here. So if I go from track, sport, tour, the lights in the interior will light up blue in tour, red in sport, or orange in track, which is kind of a fun gimmick. And you can also have it do these sort of multicolor ambient light settings. That's a little bit fun to play with. And of course, you do have a backup camera, which you're going to need because the rear visibility is absolutely terrible, as is the back seats, which I guess I will go ahead and demonstrate to you. They're not great, but I'm going to show you me squeezing back in there. Okay, so if you have one of these Camaros and you want to use it as a 4-seater, I suggest you try and get a different car, because this really isn't used as a 4-seater. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that. Getting in the back, you have this handle here to fold the seat forward, and I can't for the life of me figure out how to make it slide without using the power seat adjustment. Okay. All right, so I'm back here, and I have very little legroom. As you can see, the seat is sort of where my legs need to be. I have very little headroom with the top up, but I suppose that that might be one reason why you'd want to opt for the convertible instead of getting a coupe, because at least with the top down, your rear seat occupants are going to have at least some semblance of headroom. So let's go ahead and check out the trunk area in the back, which, like the back seat, is very compromised. All right, so finishing off with the practicality segment, we've already gone over how the back seat's pretty bad. The trunk is not that much better. We do have a trunk release here. Opens up to just 7.3 cubic feet of storage. That's not a lot even compared to the Challenger and the Mustang. The Mustang has 11.4 cubic feet. So if you are going to rent one of these cars and you have luggage with you, those two are going to be your better options over the Camaro. Now, the convertible top here, you do have this little partition. It clips on kind of like it would on a floor mat, and it does sense that that is up. I'm not really sure where the sensor is housed, but it won't let you crush your stuff, so don't worry. But with that up, you are going to be very limited with your storage space. And the biggest problem here is this trunk opening. It's just so small. I actually was able to fit my small and medium size suitcases in here, but my largest suitcase just wouldn't get through that opening. So in terms of practicality, the Chevy Camaro does epically fail compared to the Mustang, which has a very large opening and a much bigger trunk. So now that we've gone ahead and talked through the driving, interior, as well as the exterior styling, let's go ahead and price out this 2019 Camaro that Chevy has sent me. Okay, so now let's price out our 2019 Chevy Camaro SS, which starts as a performance bargain, but as you'll see here, it does start to get pretty pricey when you put this convertible top and the 2SS package on top of that. And then I'm gonna tell you how I'd recommend optioning a Camaro. So if you just want the 2SS Coupe, which is all of the nice things you're gonna get a lot as part of that $5,000 2SS package. So you're gonna get heated and ventilated leather seats with 8-way driver and 6-way power passenger seats, dual zone automatic climate control, an 8-inch colored display, Bose premium audio, the rear view camera with the camera system out of the back, the illuminated sill plates. You're gonna get the accent lighting that changes in different colors, a heated steering wheel, head-up display, a lane change alert with blind spot monitoring, rear view parking sensors, and a memory driver seat. That's a whole lot for $5,000. So $42,495 is what you're going to pay for a 2SS Coupe. Stepping up to the convertible like we have here is $6,000. That's a whole lot. I don't think I would option for that. And then that 10-speed automatic is $1,595 for the automatic. All of those options are going to bring us up to $50,590, which is not super cheap. But here's how I would do it. So instead of spending $6,000 and $1,500 on the automatic transmission, take that money and put it into the $7,000 SS 1LE package. That's going to get you magnetic ride suspension, better tires, you're going to get a black satin hood, you're going to get the variable exhaust, which sounds better than the stock one, an electronic limited slip differential, you're going to get 6-piston Brembo brakes, which are better than the 4-pots we have here on this car. I found the 4-pots to be a little bit grabby, but they do an excellent job job of stopping the car. So, but the 6 spots are even better. And it is worth noting that if you want to save some money and get the 1LE package on a 4-cylinder or a V6 Camaro, they only cost $4,500 instead of the full $7,000. You get a little bit more options on the V8 model. Now, a lot of people are going to tell me that a Camaro needs a V8, but this may be an unpopular opinion, but here's how I'd option a Camaro. Get the coupe, get the manual, and then get that 1LE package and basically pick whichever engine you can afford. If you want to go full out and get the V8 model, go for it. But I think the 4-cylinder and the V6 models are going to be great. They're going to take off a lot of the weight up at the front end, make this car feel a little bit more nimble, because it does feel quite large with the V8. It feels very heavy up at the front and the body feels very big. I think this is an excellent sports car with the 4-cylinder. If it had a different name besides Camaro and it was just generic GM built, maybe if it was called a Pontiac something or another and it had a 4-cylinder turbo, manual rear-wheel drive alpha platform, people wouldn't complain as much and say, oh, Camaro needs a V8. But 4-cylinder, actually really good. I have driven that. I haven't driven the V6, but that gets you a lot more power, and the V6 sounds really good. So that's how I'd option it. Coupe, 1LE package, manual, pick your engine, whatever you want. But the way that this particular car has been optioned, I don't like the color. I don't like the way this new SS package looks. I wouldn't get the convertible, and although the automatic is really good, I wish I would have been sent a manual. So hopefully Chevy can get me in a different Camaro that is maybe optioned a little bit more towards my liking. But as it sits, this particular 2019 Camaro is going to get a score of worth a look. It's still a pretty good relative performance value, even as a convertible, which is a little bit more expensive, but I would like to be sent a little bit of a different one. And I think that if all you want is a comfortable cruiser that you're not going to track and you're not going to do sort of insane things with, I think the Mustang and the Challenger make better daily drivers than the Camaro, and they're the ones I'd recommend. And if you want more details about the Chevy Camaro, be sure to click in the link below. We also have a link down there for the full written review on CarBuzz.com. And if you've liked this video and you'd like to see more like it, be sure to subscribe to the CarBuzz YouTube channel and hit the notification bar so you can be alerted to all of our latest videos. And download our apps on iOS and Android. That's where you can keep up with the latest and greatest in automotive news and to catch more written reviews just like this one. Hope you've enjoyed the video. See you next time.